I'm the hype girl.
Okay.
Okay, we are live.
We're here.
We're here. We're live. Welcome, everybody. My name is Summer Joy Raymer. I'm the co-founder of the Sign Network and a supporter and lover of Bridging the Divide. And I'm here with a group of women, amazing women that are wanting to be a part of healing the divide. And some of us have been a part of the conversation for the last 3 months, a live stream conversation with Black women and white women trying to learn to heal the divide. And I'm really here partly because mostly is I want to learn how to do that better myself and in the Sign Network and in my community. And I've learned a lot in the last 3 months from the women here, and has really catalyzed some really courageous and more educated understandings of how to go about these times and be a part of anti-racism culture. I heard Alexandra Love talk on with Antoinette Roots-Data recently about the commitment. She's wanting to see the commitment of us waking up in the morning and saying, I am committed to creating a culture, an anti-racist culture in this world. So I am committed and I'm in this with you all, and welcome. Antoinette.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Summer. And thank you, ladies, for joining us this evening. Again, here we are again. We are having our conversations between Black and between white women on Bridging the Divide. And I've been saying this before: truth, beauty, and goodness. We have to get to the truth before we get to the beauty and the goodness. We have to acknowledge and recognize the truth openly and honestly without tearing each other apart before we can get to the kumbaya stage of beauty and goodness. But at least I know these women are committed, because we did ask for a lifelong commitment to working towards dismantling systemic racism throughout our lives, throughout the world, throughout locally, nationally, and internationally as well, too. Our first Zoom was a discussion on breaking down the levels of white supremacy, from white privilege to white fragility, to white guilt, to white tears, to becoming white allies, and eventually white accomplices, where we're all standing together, arm in arm, moving forward towards the same cause. Not just being empathetic to our situation, but also checking on their unconscious bias as we move forward. So tonight, our topic is unity, not uniformity. As you can see, this is a very diverse group of women here. You know, the Black women sitting here are very different and diverse people. And the three white women who are sitting here are three different, diverse. They all live in different places. And we have a different perspectives on how we see things. But at the end of the day, we've all agreed that it's not Black against white, but it's everyone against racism. So we enjoy you to come in and put your comments in, ask us the questions that you wanted to know. Some of the questions that are in the groups or on the pages that you know, the burning desire questions, we'll give you an honest answer, you know, on what it means for us to sit there and work together in unity and not uniformity to dismantling systemic racism in our lives. All right. So to get started, actually, this might actually be a good time to get started with Dr. Quinlan Strong. She's also part of our Bridging the Divide, and she's also coming on as one of our moderators and admins on the Wall of Moms International. So she has a very unique and a brilliant perspective, and I've marched with her in our own protests here in the city of Lake Elsinore. So we stood side by side, two women leading this protest, leading this march, leading the way for our youth, and leading the way by a meeting with the police and having dialogue and discussions. So I would love for you to share your poem, your words and thoughts with our group.
Thank you. See me. I am sick and tired of dealing with racism. In the 5th grade, my teacher felt comfortable enough to call me a nigger, and I was moved from her class. White racism, white toxic people, you continue to deny your prejudice. Stop saying you don't see my color. You can't possibly say you know me if you can't see my color. Stop trying to play the white card. I have a Black friend, or even better, I'm married to a Black person. And by the way, if I were your partner, I would be offended that you offered me up as your Black contribution. Stop telling me to get over it when every time I'm walking on the same sidewalk as you, you clutch your purse or change the hand in which you are currently holding it in. And do you not think I notice the subtle movements of protection that comes over you with your child or children as you near me? I can hear your car doors click as I'm walking by to get to my own destination. Why do I pose a threat to you? I earned your educational proclamations, high school diploma, AA, BS, MS, and a doctorate degree without cheating. It is a fact you taught me only what you wanted me to learn. So don't ask me how I did it in your condescending ways. But your education has secondary status to my authentic Black history. I will not fall for your white conspiracy theories, which have little basis or foundation, except for only what you have created in y'all own mind. Your white privilege chose 45. Oh, how sweet it is to know 46 is coming. Stop judging me. If you don't see my color, then stop stealing my people's villages' music, words, dance, food, hair texture, and skin tone. I am beyond sick and tired of white people coming up with excuses and apologies for what they say is not their fault. It is your fault if you continue to replant the seeds of your white generational crop of injustice, of inequality, and of inequity. White people, why do I pose a threat to you? My hoodie is designed to do the same thing that your hoodie does. And yet when I put mine on, I become subhuman and hunted like prey. Why am I, my brothers and sisters, suspect or fit the description? We are incarcerated or dead before we can even say our given government name. You can never empathize with me. You will never be able to walk in my shoes, so stop saying it. White people, you want to know me, then see all of me. There is no greater sight than my authentic Blackness. I am a proud Black educated sister.
Wow. That's really powerful. Yes, come over to the house. Let me put some music to it, and we do this dub poetry.
Let's do this.
It's going on.
I want to tell you why I wrote that.
Please.
I'm sick and tired of having to answer Facebook posts. When people try to tell me we're all equal, that we are all the same, and it's all about one. I'm sick and tired of not being accounted for because of the color of my skin and the fact that there has been inequality and injustice for as long as we all know. I'm sick and tired of it. Mm-hmm. Tired of the car doors shutting. I know why you do it. I know why you watch me as I'm going down the aisle in your store. I know why I can't go late at night and walk with my hoodie. And I don't think that white people understand that you've been given that privilege. That's equity. I don't have that same privilege. And until we do, you cannot walk in my shoes. You cannot say to me, I understand your empathy. I empathize with you, because you can't. You have no idea. You have no idea that sometimes that my hurt is covered with my hood. And what I mean by that is that I want to distance myself with you. And so therefore I create a vibration of disconnect. When what I really want you to understand is that I am hurting. I'm not an angry Black woman. I'm a woman who has feelings. But what you've chosen to do is you've chosen to take my feelings and put them on a canvas and create it as your own. I'm blown away that women or people are questioning Camilla Harris's, her descent, or that we've even been questioned about our own Blackness. How dare you decide for me what color I am? So I'm just sick and tired, and I just put pen to the paper, and that's what came up. That's what came out of my spirit.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. That's really brilliant, you know, and I think when we had our interview with Dr. Marty the other day, you know, with her Show Me the Arts Academy and the power of music, and even the last live that Pato and I did was the power of music. You know, it's some hard truths that's within the video. It's not a lot of things that people can stomach, but it's also a very beautiful song. And it's very touching because he watched it for the first time live as we were doing it, and I could see the look on this white man's face and how, you know, how much it hit him. You know, it really did hit people. For those who do appreciate the video, they can understand and appreciate it. But for others, they just don't want to see it. They want to hide from it. They want to hide from the ugly truth. But if we don't actually see it and acknowledge it, how are we actually going to be able to move forward? How are we going to get to truth and reconciliation? You know, and I like that you brought up about color blindness, because this is a conversation that we're having a lot of times. I want you to see me. I want you to see my color, you know, recognize my brown copper tone Bando Soleil tan, you know, recognize the Black girl magic coming out, you know. I've been accused of not being Black enough because I'm, you know, we're all mixed with something. It's like the lighter skin versus the darker skin. But when it comes to racial injustice, the police see me as Black. I may have a Taiwanese mother, but Taiwanese do not people see, or Chinese people do not see me as one of them. They say, you're Black people, you Black people, you know, so that's what they tell me. And when I'm dealing with the police, they don't see a half Asian woman and a half Black woman. They see a Black woman and they will treat me as a Black woman. When I go into the stores, and me and Nini's been out many, many times, they see two Black women, one really short and one really tall. But we know, here comes the eyes, here comes the following, here comes the judgment, here comes, you know, that's, you know, and we live in a very liberal place in California, at least in LA. It's not the same in Lake Elsinore, but they don't see us as just another human being. They see two Black women. And it's like, well, just see us in a positive light, embrace us and love us for our humanity as individual Black women. Not like, I don't see color and we're all one. If we were all one, we wouldn't be having these conversations right now. There wouldn't be any protests happening all across America right now. There wouldn't be organizations that have to set up to try to protect Black people if we were all one. So obviously we're not all one yet.
Right.
We're not part of that one. We're not included as part of that one.
I'd like to ask my white sisters if they have ever utilized their white card, or if they've ever had that first impression and it was wrong in regards to a Black person. And I need you, I mean, this is authentic and this is real for you guys. This has to be real for you in order for this healing, this next phase to occur. Because if we continue to put the elephant in the room and keep the blinders on, then nothing is going to change. So I want to know, when have you decided that having a Black friend was good enough? Or when you decided that I don't see color as good, when? How does that happen for you?
I have a lot of different little thoughts on what you just said. And I was just having a conversation with a friend about the I don't see color. And I think a lot of really good, well meaning people say it with the best of intentions. What I think they mean is, or what we want to mean is that we see color, but we don't treat it differently. I've always loved different people. I grew up in the theater and we were a very nerdy, embracing bunch. I had a Black and Japanese girlfriend in high school. I've never, I love the color, as you can tell. But something you said about the vibration of disconnect, I feel that. And it's not until recently that I have started to break down what I see when I see a Black person, because some Black men can look scary if you're not really, if you don't understand the Black community is diverse. And that's something I've learned while talking with you ladies, is everybody's different. And, you know, anybody could be scary if you look at them that way. But we're all just people living in the neighborhood. And lately I have felt a really big shift, feeling closer to my Black and brown friends, or Black and brown strangers even. It's hard because I don't get out very much with the pandemic. But I feel a shift in how I feel when I look at people, or that didn't address anything about the white privilege, which I use that often. And lately, I like to use my white privilege as much as I can to stick it to the man. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I'm just now learning. I've had a lot of cute white girl privilege growing up, and people like me because I'm funny and cute and colorful. But yeah, I use it. I can't think of how I could use it in an example at the moment.
Thank you, Mimi. So I'm going to be honest here too. So when we do have Black friends, or I mean, when we have white friends, at least for me, I have a lot of white friends, and they say things like that to me, and they don't really understand. And I tell them, you love me and you love Pato. You know, you love us. It's like, you guys are the most awesome people, and you guys are Black people, and we can't be your only friends. You know, you got to get more flavor in your life. You got to get more Black people in your life. If you love me, you got to love my people, because they're sitting there saying, I would do anything for you, you know, because I have conservative friends. I'm kind of anti-gun, but I got, you know, conservative friends who have lots of guns. They're like, I would die for you. You know, I would kill for you. I would do it. I was like, I don't need you to do any of those things, but I need you to help me seek justice and equality for my people, for people who look like me. You know, I'm going to need a little bit more from you other than you love me. That's wonderful that you love me and you would do anything for me. But can you love my people the same way? Because for me, I believe everybody's all God's children, and we should, and we're all family. We're one human family. So I want to be there with the one human family, but the people who say we're all one and we're all one human family, it's not enough. It's not enough because you see Black people and you don't call them the N-word. It's not enough that you don't, you know, you're not interfering with their lives and being discriminatory towards them. But when are they going to get up to the next step? Like, there's injustice happening to my people where it's inequality. When are you going to use your privilege? Because you do have privilege and they will listen to you. Will you talk to your white friends about this? The same things that I'm talking to you. I don't tag everybody in a lot of my posts, but I would like to. I have 5,000 friends on my Facebook personal page, and I have another 4,000 following. Can I tag you in these issues of racial inequality?
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. So that's one of the things that I'm asking of my white friends is like, can I tag you to get justice for Breonna Taylor? Will you send this email, you know, to get justice for Breonna, to get justice for Elijah? Because, you know, they're innocent people. It may not be me, but just imagine if that was me. Imagine that was me that was shot in my bed. I know all hell would break loose. When Pato was accosted in the hotel in Las Vegas, when we had that horrible incident, all of our friends were demanding justice. They were calling, they were on Yelp, they were doing everything. I was like, look at all the support we're getting. I was like, but can you do this for somebody else? Imagine that was us. Imagine Elijah Ispato. Imagine I was Breonna Taylor, and because you care about me, go and seek justice for me. So these innocent people that are being killed at the hands of police brutality, these are Black brothers and sisters who are not getting the jobs, who are not afforded equal opportunity in housing, who are not afforded equal opportunity in the justice. Can you help me help them? Because they're innocent in all of this. They deserve to have a life after all these years that we've been talking about this and protesting and marching and doing everything, and nothing has much changed. There's been little slight changes, but can we start together as a commitment now and say, will you help me do this? That's the only thing that I need, is just, I need your privilege and I need your voice to help us accomplish real racial equality, to be, a real sister, a real white accomplice, for all of us, because this is going to benefit everyone.
Yeah.
Any thoughts, anyone?
I don't know if Tanya also wanted to answer Quinlan's question too, that she was wanting to answer, but
I was gonna say, I grew up in Portland, Oregon, and as many people know, it's very white. And I grew up in a suburb that was very white. And at that time, we didn't have the internet. So it was hard to learn what was going on out in the world. And I wasn't aware of white privilege because, well, there was nobody else around but whites. When I got out of high school and started living, I was able to, I knew there was issues. But when I moved to Southern California in San Diego, I started to see those firsthand because I was making friends, and those were friends of various colors, and I would see it done to them. And that really just opened my eyes, because sometimes when you're just surrounded by other whites and you hear all this stuff being complained about, but you're like, wait, that's happening to me, because I was the low end and the one everybody picked on of the whites in the white group. Now I'm seeing it in another world and seeing how much color affects that and intensifies what I had already been discriminated for. It really opened my eyes, and I think other whites need to see this. Some that have just kept in their bubble of whiteness. And I have worked my white privilege now to help open a lot of eyes, especially with those other white friends. Because when they hear another white person going, look, yeah, y'all know my history and what I've gone through, and seriously, Black Lives Matter, and this is why. They start opening their eyes. So yes, I wasn't aware of white privilege for the longest time. But now that my eyes are open, I'm just trying to help open everybody else's eyes.
Thank you, Tanya.
Which is hard, not leaving the house. I must say, I'm having,
yes.
it's difficult connecting. I'm just trying to work hyper local and help out and connect with people in my community, people that need help, people that I feel I want to connect with. And Summer said something in one of our very first chats, that being nice is not enough. And I always thought that has really stuck with me. I'm trying to go above and beyond being nice and cordial. Like, what can I do with this without accosting this stranger on the street, really?
Well, I like your page. I like your page. I've been following your page, Mimi, and you have a lot of Black Lives Matter content on your own personal page. So that's something that I really enjoy seeing, because there's somebody else talking about it.
I never knew how bad it was.
Well, the thing is, you can do this from the comfort of your own home, And I've been posting this type of content. Nichelle and I have been posting this content as long as we've known each other. We've always spoken on these issues. People may not have been listening to us. It might be a little bit of crickets, but I've noticed through the years, it took a long time. I started getting messages from people. I used to think you were just an angry Black woman and you were just, always going on about, but I'm starting to understand and see now. So I was observing and I was watching, but it makes sense. And I understand this now. And that's just the first step. So they got to that part of understanding. They're not at the point of posting it themselves yet. That's the reality, but at least they're starting to understand the things that I was saying was true, but I'm going to continue pushing and asking people, I need you to help me with this. And if you can't, then I need to start bringing on board people who can help me with this and reshifting and revamping my own personal page, because I need allies and accomplices right now.
Well, we're going to be teaching a letter writing class for writing to your senators and congressmen and people like that here in the city. And we're hoping to, get everybody on board and help them send something in.
Let me know about that, because we're actually, Uganda's coming on. This is perfect. So Uganda is one of the admins and one of the three of us, Alexandra and Uganda and myself, for Wall of Moms International. And she just came up with something for Tuesdays called Day of Dialing. And what we want to do was kind of set a precedence across the country that's the day when we start our letter writing campaign.
Ooh.
We do our petitions and we do our calls. So please, let's talk again. I'm going to talk with you, and us as Wall of Moms International will support you in this, because, we're in California and there's a lot of things, and there's a lot of women in the group from California that will help you and join you and get on board with this,
Awesome.
So Uganda, you want to tell her about the one that we have this Tuesday coming up? So this is where we need all the women to help us on this day of dialing.
Yes, this Tuesday we're focusing in on the DA in our city charging 17, 18, and a 21-year-old with terrorism for acts of vandalism. And so we're asking him to reduce the charges to actually what they did. We're not asking him to take away the charges. We're asking him to reduce the charges and take off terrorism, because terrorism is what happened in Oklahoma City with the bombing. Mm-hmm. Terrorism is what happened on 9/11. That's what we consider terrorism. So charging some kids with vandalism is not terrorism. It's being young, not very smart kids. Mm-hmm. And they need a consequence. I mean, we support that, but terrorism is a little strong. So we're calling him to say we denounce the excessive charges that he's charging these kids. Some kids he waited till they were 18 so he could charge them as adults. One he arrested on their 18th birthday, just to prove this point. So we're just concerned about his history of excessive charging for Black people. Mm-hmm. So essentially, right now we're going to be doing this every week to be able to push, hopefully encourage him and educate him in the process. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and thank you, because as people are starting to learn and understand why these things are important, if you don't know about the prison to pipeline service, please look that up. Please understand that when you destroy a young man's life, he will not be able to get a job. He will not be able to run for office. He will not be able to get a home. He will not be able to travel. These things, because I've been in that same thing where I was charged with a felony. They arrested me and said it was a felony. And then I had to make a plea bargain, but the whole thing was so ridiculous. But this really caused me to not be able to get the house that I wanted. And I've been held up at the border in Canada several times, missing my flights, missing everything because of this charge. And I'm not a criminal. I'm not a criminal. It was an excessive charge and they want to make an example. And I met as that night I sat in jail, I realized that there were so many people who are facing these over excessive charges on Black women, Black children, and Black men, you know. All right.
So one of the questions is, do you have suggestions for how to locate cases similar in your local communities? Now, for us, it's Oklahoma Court, it's OCSN.net, and that's how we look up court cases and court dockets. You could probably call your county clerk's office in your city and ask them what that local website is to be able to look up cases, policies, laws, through your politicians, through your local activist organizations. They usually know a lot about the different laws and things like that. That's where I'm getting a lot of my information. And so.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I haven't heard yet from Nichelle and from Alexandra. Before I move into where we're moving into Walla Moms International and what we're doing there, I'd like to get some of your thoughts and feelings as well too. They need to hear your voice.
What I thought of when I was listening to you speak about your experiences with white people and them being your friends and loving you and all that stuff, the question came to mind: would they love you and be behind you if the two of you did not, if you and your husband were not entertainers? Because what I've noticed is when you are an entertainer or an athlete, when you're entertaining white people, then they're more at ease with you. But when you're just a regular person, maybe, you know, I don't know, a bank executive or whatever your occupation is, you're not seen as human enough to be considered as such. I think that when you have a high profile job where people can see you and, you know, they can be entertained by you, then it takes the edge off for them. Another thought I had was, what makes a Black man look scary, Mimi? And what makes a Black person look scary? And another thing that came up to me was the time that we were on tour with you, me and Akua were on tour with the Now Generation. And we were up north in California. We were at the hotel. It was when the hotel was right across the street from the venue. You could run across the highway and go to the venue. It was that location. And there was a convenience store up the street. My roommate and I, we were both the background singers for Pato and Antoinette. She stayed behind, and I said, I'm gonna run up the street and get some snacks and drinks, you know, you want anything. So I was picking up stuff for us. And on my way back, walking down the street, I could see Akua standing there. She was on the phone. She was standing outside our accommodations, and a police car pulled up. And they started talking to her, and I was like, oh no, I know what they're thinking. And so I started walking faster. And as I was getting closer, I was almost at a slow jog. I was walking that fast she looked over at me and she motioned to me, and I waved to her. I threw my arm up and I waved to her like, here I am, I'm coming back, I'm okay, you know, just to let her know that I'm there, and so that the police officer would leave her alone, because she was being harassed because she's standing in front of a motel on the telephone. Someone's assuming that she's a prostitute or perhaps a drug addict or whatever negative thing that you want to attach to a Black woman in an unfamiliar place that's predominantly white.
Mm-hmm.
And so that came to mind. And it was kind of scary to me because, you know, he wasn't friendly to her. He was doing his job, but he was being crass to her. And so as I got close to her, you know, I was just like, hey, you know, I got what you needed. I tried to ignore that he was there and start a conversation with her so that he would be like, you know, to me, you're a non sequitur, get out of here. You know, we're human beings, we're not doing anything. And she was trying to reassure him, yeah, we're here, we're performers, we're performing tonight across the street at this venue, so forth and so on. None of that was necessary. Why did he stop in front of her? Why, if she were not Black, then this would not be happening.
Mhm.
So those are just thoughts that came through my mind as you were speaking. I don't even know what your question was anymore.
Hey, I just need to hear your thoughts, you know, and it's perfect because it does bring up something, especially for the people in Oregon who are watching us now. You know, we go to Oregon all the time. We're always up there. And we have Alexandra, who's in Oregon. And there's also members of our team, of the WAMI team, that are actually based in Oregon. The last time we played in Bend, if you see what's happening in Bend, where the buses are now, you know, people are kind of blocking the buses from them dragging, ICE is dragging off people on their way to work and coming from work. This is how crazy Bend is. We play up there all the time. You know, you've been up there with the Northwest Reggae Festival. We're in Ashland, we're in Portland, we're in Eugene, and we're in Bend. Pato wanted to do his shows that were, instead of down in the club late at night, that were family. You know, so there's a restaurant that always takes care of us in the morning that we always go and eat at. And so we would perform at this restaurant outside. The whole city can hear the show. Stay positive, never give in. Life is a struggle. So everybody's driving up and down the street, they're hearing the music, and there's just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people at this place, all on the outside while we're performing. After driving the whole day to get up there, you know what it's like on the road. It's like 8-9 hours that we're driving, sound check, doing the show. It's late because, you know, after the show, we got to pack up. I got to handle business. I got to get my drink. There's so much stuff happening. It's like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. We get to the Airbnb house. The one we used to have before was a beautiful church, but because of bands before us who had destroyed those places, they had to put us in someplace else. Never us. You guys know how Pato is. This man does all the laundry. He makes a place look better than we actually got into it. You know, that's how clean he is. So we get into this Airbnb. I said, oh my gosh, there's not enough beds here, you know? And so I decided to make a call, and I went out on the stop sign, you know, to get away from the house and to try to reach the promoters, and also because the cell signal was bad by the house. So I'm standing on the street corner and I'm making a call to the promoters. It's like, I need you to get me another hotel room, because one of our guys, you know, these are Black men. These guys don't share beds. They're Black men. You need to give them their own bed. And we have one bed missing. We need someone to be able to have a place to sleep. So what ended up happening was I'm on the call, and this white woman pulls up in a car while I'm standing on the police car on the corner at the stop sign, and I'm on the phone waiting. And I look at her and I wave at her, you know, just like, you know, everything is okay, whatever. And she sits there staring at me for the longest time. She doesn't roll her window down and say, is everything okay? Is everything all right? You know, or how are you? Do you need some help? And she just stares at me for the longest time. Then she drives away. So I've been on the phone for quite a while. I start walking back towards the house. Here comes the popo. Here's one police car. Next thing you know, 2, 3, 4, 5 police cars that pull up in front of the Airbnb. They think we're robbing the house. They think that we're robbing the house. Luckily, you know, because of so much attention about police brutality, the officer was nice about it. He could have been a real jerk, you know? He could have been really, really mean. And we always comply. We always comply, but they still treat us really bad at certain times. So we complied. We're like, here's our ID, you know, because we know they want to run our IDs. Here's everybody's ID. We shouldn't have to do that. They're going to run all of it to make sure we don't have any records, make sure we don't have any things that's going on, make sure we're not wanted, make sure we're not criminals. I said, here's my Airbnb receipt. You can see I've got a 5-star rating, you know, a VIP rating. Here's the code for us to get in. This is all legal. And they actually had to contact the Airbnb to make sure that I didn't forge any of this information. But the amount of time that took for them to run and check everything after we told them, it's like now 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. You know, this is time that's taken out of my day because of somebody who was scared. And it wasn't like I was wearing a hoodie, you know, or in black and I looked suspicious. I came from the show. I'm in white, you know, trying to look like the feminine divine. You know, I'm sitting there like, what could be so threatening about a little 4-foot black woman wearing white at night that you would have to call the police on us? And it could have gone down such a different way. You know,
And-
that's the kind of things that we're over.
Can I tell you how many Airbnbs I have had to dig around looking for the key? You know, how many, you know, the key's over in this box on the side of the house. I've never had a problem with people calling and saying, there's this white girl creeping around your door. You know, I find the key and go in. It's appalling. And I want to answer the question. I want to amend a little bit about the fear of men. I think it's fear of a lot of other men, not just black men. But maybe it might be where I live. Some of the black guys that I've known are angry and big, and maybe it's the vibration of disconnect that I'm feeling. But I think it's also just men that are bigger than myself that I feel fear of.
Mm-hmm.
Because I spent a little bit of time in Atlanta, and I didn't feel fear of black men. I didn't feel nervous of anything. But here by the beach, maybe some of the guys are a little different and intimidating.
The incident in Las Vegas when we were accosted by the security guards and they roughed up my husband. We're in Vegas, and this is a man who doesn't drink, smoke, do anything. He just wants to get into his bubble bath and relax for the rest of the day. You know, of all the people in Vegas that the police can go after, they go after him. The same incident, and when our fans had dug it up and they found they called her name was Terry, and they called her Terrible Terry. They went and found her Facebook profile and everything. This woman, and he has it on camera, sat there and said, there's a black man, this man is attacking me. And she's on her CB. He's like, there's a black man who's attacking me. And he's 5 feet away from her. She's sitting there hitting him because she doesn't want him recording her. Same thing like what happened in New York. These big Hawaiian dudes come and grab him, rough him up, escort us up to our room, and then they throw us out of the hotel and kick us out. This whole celebrity thing, like what Michelle had mentioned earlier, is that when we were in Brazil, yes, because they know Pato Bantan, go Pato, everybody knows who he is. So we're going to get the celebrity treatment. But black people in Brazil, it's really, really, really sad. If he was not a celebrity, he would get probably the worst treatment. Black people in Brazil, in Mexico, in Peru, you know, these other places, if he was not a celebrity, he would get the worst treatment because that's how society is. And if you didn't have a name or a profession, like you said, as a performer, we would be treated just as bad as the other people who are there, you know. Alexandra, did you want to say anything before we move into the next topic?
Yeah, I've been sort of just taking it all in since the beginning, since Quinlan's words, and I'm just taking it all in. And first, I want to appreciate the honesty everybody's coming to the group with, because I did feel a couple of spikes and a couple of triggers, and I was like, okay, that's what we're here to do, right? To be real with each other and not hold back. So I really want to appreciate that about everybody in this room and in this virtual room. So I want to say two things. The first thing is, it's interesting because of how I grew up and where I'm from, and because I did not grow up with the identity of Black or African American, I feel what some of you were saying, and I know it's true, and I see it, and some of the experiences I've had, but a lot of them I haven't personally. And sometimes I think for the first, like, I don't know, 5 years, I started living part-time in the United States. Sometimes I just didn't notice that it was going on. right? So it was like years later when I was going through identity crisis and trying to figure out what this is, what's this identity of American, what's this identity of Black, what is it? You know, I think later I was like, oh, that has happened to me. And I just didn't know at the time. I was just like in ignorance, you know, I just had no idea. And then there was sort of this rough reckoning of things that were happening that now I knew they were happening, right? So, but I still remain like a satellite sometimes. I still remain a satellite around that identity of Black and African American. And it's surreal sometimes when I'm listening to words like yours, Quinlan, and these experiences when we have Bridging the Divide, and I hear these stories, I'm just like, I feel like it's so much about me, and then it's not all at the same time. And I don't know how to explain that better. The second thing I want to address, and this is something that in my own work, in my own anti-racism work, when I'm doing mentorship, and also just in especially spiritual and coaching communities, something that Dr. Quinn brought up, which is the we are all one thing, and how it's used as a spiritual bypass and a racial bypass. And it's one of the most vile bypasses because it is sort of bastardizing a universal truth. The universal truth is that we are one. The universal truth that one includes all of our peace and joy and support and love. And it also includes all of our violence. It includes all of our nastiness and all of our poison. We are all one. It's not something that cannot be. It is, right? I and I, it is. And so I always encourage people when they hear that or when they say it to look at the given circumstances. If I'm sitting and I'm you know, doing a video on we are all one and this is how we treat ourselves, how we treat other people, then that makes sense, right? But if you hear somebody else saying it as a response, usually as a defense, when somebody's talking about their Black experience, it's a bypass. It's saying this stuff that you're saying is making me so uncomfortable, and my defense is going to be to, one, ignore, two, get defensive, and then try to school you on a universal truth. And quite frankly, when they say that, they don't understand it, because as I just established, we are all one includes all. Mm-hmm. And so when I see people, I hear people say we are all one in a response to when somebody's talking about their experience, their racial experience, their oppressive experiences, what's coming out of them, their pain. I used to get really angry about it, but now I think of it as like, it's like a clown. It's like somebody's being a clown. They don't understand. So I just wanted to put that message out around that we are all one, and the different versions of how we are all one come out, because it happens a lot. Mm-hmm. And it's vile and it's gross and it's also circusy and bizarre.
I feel like you might as well say all lives matter if you're going to say we are one. Like those are the same.
It's in the same family.
To me,
for sure.
like, yeah.
Well, the thing now to say is we're in this together, and we're really not. We're not in this together.
Mm-hmm.
Same family.
That's my boat. You're not rowing with me. You might be sitting there observing, but you ain't rowing. You know,
it's under the umbrella of COVID-19. We all are going through COVID-19, but we're not all in it together. Otherwise, there wouldn't be evidence of ugly racism at this point either. If we're truly together.
Nichelle, can I just ask you, do you think that that's the difference between uniformity and unity?
Yeah, well, that's one of the differences. I was thinking about how to tie that theme into this, and I would say that racism, white supremacy is a uniformity. But there's also
define that, work with that a little bit more. What do you mean?
Well, and it also has elements of unity too, because in order for the system of white supremacy to work, there has to be a unified front on the part of those practicing that white supremacy. And so, and they do it in a uniform way. They move as one organism. That woman who called the police on Antoinette for the Airbnb, near the Airbnb, she was using the uniformity of white supremacy, of the system of white supremacy, to have the police come. And I think of it in terms of slavery, actually. This is someone calling the overseer to get you to show your freedom papers.
Mhm.
And and this happens all the time. I mean, I don't know what's in you guys' feeds on Facebook, but and what happens with you and your lives or your friends. One question also I wanted to ask was, of the white ladies, how many Black friends do you have? Not just coworkers, but I mean close Black friends. And so, and that's, something you answer to yourself.
I'd like to answer it real quick. I always thought it was weird to keep a count of how many Black or brown friends
Well,
I
it's
had.
not about
So
it's not
I
about
wouldn't
count.
even-
It's not quantity. It's quality.
Yeah.
What
I
quality
have
are your
I
friendships
have
with
some
your
great.
Black friends?
I'd
you
like
know?
to shout out to Chadwick Bishop. He's one of my closest friends, and his.
Okay,
Look,
don't
Dad.
go there. Please, no.
Oh,
Don't do that. We don't want you to enumerate, and we don't want you to prove in any way that you have it. This is a question that you're asking yourselves. What quality are my friendships with Black people? How close are we? How much do I know about Black hair care? Just as a something to throw out there. But yeah, it's about, people are being accosted in front of their own residences, and being asked. Black people are being asked to show their freedom papers, and not just Black people, but anyone who is considered non-white.
I think we should have some sort. It's hard because we're talking about defunding the police, but how do we regulate against these people who are abusing the system, calling the police because they know that it's going to hurt somebody? I think that's absolutely a waste of resources, aside from being completely, totally wrong. But it's hard.
I think that there need to be laws written. There are some in some states. Lawmakers are passing laws where people are going to get in trouble for misusing the office of police.
Isn't it called the Karen Act? CAREN?
In some places, that may just be one state. It's not a nation. It's not a federal thing. So, you can reference the Karen Act, but it's not nationwide, obviously. So, being asked for your freedom papers is crazy, but that's what's happened. A lot of people who practice white supremacy are seeing Black people as slaves still. They still see, they have an air of ownership. Yeah, we're free. They let us free, that kind of thing. But they can weaponize their whiteness at any time to call the authorities and jeopardize our lives. I've been in a situation, one of the worst encounters with police, driving while Black. My then boyfriend and I, we had broken up and we're getting back together. Who hasn't been there? And we went to have dinner, and we were going to go to one of our favorite music venues to see some of our friends play. And we were pulled over by police and ordered out of the car at gunpoint with several police officers. We were told that we fit the description of 2 Black men who had robbed a house in the neighborhood where we were. We were going to the Temple Bar, which is in Santa Monica. It's a quaint little beach town that has become a little bougie. But that's my hometown. It was where I was living at the time. And so we were pulled over and searched and questioned. And it was pretty scary. I thought I was praying the whole time. It's one of those moments where you just say the Lord's Prayer over. If you're Christian, you're saying the Lord's Prayer over and over and over and over and over and over and over. while you're listening to the complicated directions that they're giving your boyfriend. Driver, with your right hand, reach outside the car door and open the car from the outside. Keep your left hand up in the air. Step out of the vehicle, put your hands in the air, back towards us with your hands in the air. When you're scared, you don't even, you almost can't even follow it because it's so counterintuitive to how you would even get out of your car. They're doing it. This is their procedure because, if in case you're armed and all that crap, we were not armed. We were armed with lots of weed that night, but that was it. And he even told them that we were, because he wanted to be, keep transparency. They also ordered me out, and I was listening to his directions because just in case they let me, were going to ask me to get out like that too, because I didn't want to mess it up and get shot, and they searched us. I get out backing up in my long maxi skirt. Yeah, I'm a dude. Okay, 2 dudes robbed a house in the area. I had a shorter fro at the time. We passed a police officer, and that was when things happened. We passed this police officer. He looked at us and gave us a dirty look while we were driving past him, and then he called the troops to come and bother us. And being searched, and she, the female police officer says, I didn't find anything to her watch commander or supervisor, and he tells her to search me again. For what? For what? In the middle of the street, people are now out on the street, on their balconies and their front yards watching to see what happened, because it was 5 police officers with lights and everything. It looked like, something horrible had happened. So there's that humiliation. That was a show us your freedom papers moment. And they go on quite often. And a lot of Black people have been killed during these show us your freedom papers moments because they're tired of it. This is not their first time. Every Black person in this country has a story of something like this happening to either to themselves or someone they know. And all of us know someone who was roughed up. All of us know someone who is dead. One of my cousins was fatally injured in police custody. So all of us can tell this story. So you hear people running when the police come. Maybe they don't even have a record, but they run because they're running for their lives. They're afraid, because of what they've experienced. We all have PTSD. So yeah, there's that kind of stuff.
I just want to add, you think about that family that was in the van and that 6-year-old that was held at gunpoint. How do you tell this kid to wipe this away from your thoughts and trust the police?
Yeah, officer friendly. But you are officer friendly. Police are supposed to help us. They're supposed to be who we call when we need someone when we're in trouble. You're supposed to be able to call the police. They're supposed to be friendly, courteous, and protect and serve you. But that's not who they are. They're antagonizers and criminals themselves, guilty of criminal behavior. Not all of them.
And they'll do whatever they need to get the answer they want.
And
they will.
Hold on a second. They have the answer because that story is not the first time that story has been told. Previously before, and I can't find the link, but there was a Black family that pulled up into their own driveway and was held on the ground at gunpoint, all laying there in their own driveway. So, and it was their house, and they don't listen. They don't listen. It's like, look, you can see my address. You can see it on the ID. You have these kids traumatized and you're holding guns to them. The family that got pulled over the other day in Aurora, her car has been reported stolen, but they returned her car to her the next day. So months later, what in the world are you doing to this family again? They keep doing it.
Well, they were also looking for a motorcycle too. It was also the actual vehicle they were looking for was a motorcycle. It's terrorism.
It
That
is
is
terrorism.
terrorism. And it's to keep you afraid. There's there is ownership there. I'm gonna be real about what I feel about it. It's a master slave dynamic. Where are your freedom papers? What are you doing here? It's after dark, those sundown laws that back in the day there was something called a sundown law where if you were caught in a white town after sundown, you know, it was kind of like hide and go get. They felt justified in killing you or terrorizing you. So this is still happening today. If I'm driving in a predominantly white area and I pass by a police officer, I've been followed before driving by myself. I know they're running my plates. I'm, you know, driving with my best behavior. If they pull me over, I'm not illegal. I, you know how to keep my head in tense situations, but it's a master slave dynamic that needs to quit. And
You know, and I'll tell you, today, my neighbor is a Caucasian family. And so the 11-year-old is really close to me. She's my little angel. So she calls me on the phone and she says, hey, can you come get me? Because it's really hot out here. It's 106 degrees. She has no water. So I said, okay, meet me at this place. I'm on my way. I pull up and there are two white women outside. Now, mind you, she's a Caucasian girl, 11 years old. She's running to get to my car. But my eye is on these two women watching this kid get in the car. And I'm like talking loud so they hear me. Hi, honey. You okay? Getting ready to take you home, so that they're aware that I know this kid. Why do I need to do that? Why do I?
because you're going to be asked for your freedom papers.
Mm-hmm.
I stopped. I was at the pharmacy. I was in the parking lot. The police were chasing this Black human. I can't begin to say what, who, or the gender. And I found myself stopping. I put my car back in park and I waited. I just wanted to make sure that this person was going to be okay. And they got away, actually. And the cops, you know, it was fine. But I felt a moment of fear in my heart and just stopped just to make sure that they were going to be okay.
Mm-hmm. It's really, I mean, my hand, when the police every time, and it's been way too many times because I lived in New York City when they had that stop and frisk policy. You know, 9 out of 10 people that they had stopped, which was 200,000 people per year, were innocent. So you can imagine how much stop and frisking was going on. My hands like literally just get sweaty and my heart starts racing and I get so freaked out by what's happening. And when I was raising my daughter, and she was really upset by this because she's been racially profiled. She was taken out when we're in a plane because of the dreadlocks, because that was also, if you check TSA and certain things to look for as far as racially profiling besides color, is dreadlocks. That's the person that you pull out. Of a plane with 250 people, after we've already gone through security, they had another security before you get on the plane. It's worse in Turkey. There's like 10 securities. But they literally pulled her out of the line. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. You know me, I'm just like, I'm mama bear. I was very angry and very upset. And I was cussing them. You know, I was like, how dare you? She's just a child. She's just a child. You can see her. She's a 10-year-old, and you guys know my daughter now. She's 26. She's a beautiful woman, but she's just a 10-year-old little girl with dreadlocks. But because her profile, mixing your thing, even though she's a child, you pulled her out in front of everybody. So the whole airport is looking at her being frisked down and patted all over again in front of everyone. And the only thing I could actually do as a mother was just to sit there and just try to calm her down. You know, because it's really hard when this is happening to your own child, that they would do that and humiliate you in front of all of these people. So anybody watching, if this has never happened to you, then you do have privilege. You do have privilege. And we would love to be able to have that privilege too. Because I've never forgotten this. And that's, you know, 10 years, 15 years ago, 16 years ago that this happened, but it still bothers me. And it still upsets me because I see that happening to a lot of other people too. And then when I try to talk about these issues, and this is why we do this show and why we start doing this, is because nobody wants to listen to what I have to say. Nobody cares. They say they care about me, but if you cared about me, this would not be happening today. If you don't want this to happen to your child, like we say the golden rule, then stop this from happening to all of the children that it's happening to. How Makeda came out of this, as strong as she is, she can't stand the police either. When she sees them, she's like, the po-po again. I mean, they have terrorized our lives that I had to leave New York City to come out to California. And as soon as we got to California, what was the first thing that she got into the school was to be called the N-word. She was never called the N-word when we was in New York because we were in a Black neighborhood. But we were always being harassed by the police. So we get to California and now we got whites and Mexicans and they're calling her the N-word. And she's traumatized again. Nobody wants to be friends with her. That's why she cut her dreads. That's why she cut her dreads, because she was tired of being judged and thought of in such a negative way. And she had to really, if it did not take a village for me to raise this child, because I could not do this by myself. It took a lot of strong Black women. It took a lot of white women. It took a lot of sisters that cared about me and my child, you know, for her to become the woman that she actually is right now, you know. So I was trying to go into our next segment because I know that Summer wanted us to talk about what we're actually doing now, because this kind of birthed out of us having this conversation about hear my voice, listen to my voice, and let me be honest about the situations that we're experiencing as Black people. Is now that we have stepped into the positions of WAMI International, Wall of Moms International, I brought on these women to help me. Uganda and Alexandra were the first ones who came in to help me try to save this, because I saw an opportunity, you know. So anybody who's watching from within our group, if you doubt my sincerity, if you're questioning who I am, I'm not hiding. Whoever was there before, who is not appearing or whatever, my page is public. All of my pages are public. All the experiences I've shared on police brutality, all the work that we've done, everything is public. I'm a public person. I don't have anything to hide. I'm very transparent. I asked Alexandra and Uganda to come with me on this journey because I said, we can do a lot of good work here. There's a lot of good, well-intentioned white people that we can actually talk to, have conversations with, and actually do something together in unity and not uniformity in dismantling systemic racism. From those two women, I started continuing to build the team, and I brought in Quinlan and Dr. Quinlan and Nichelle, because they've been with me by my side as well too. They're not afraid to stand by my side. My husband told me, you need to have people who will stand with you and stand by your side in what you're trying to achieve and what you're trying to do. You know, I've asked them to give up time in their lives from their work and their family and all the busy schedules that they actually have to do to help me do this, because it's important. It's important to me, and it's just as important to them as well too. That's why they're doing this. You know, that's why they're involved. This is why we decided it's not just a Facebook group, even though we can do things with a Facebook group, but why we had to move into an organization so we can do this to help the other women and other people out there. This team isn't just Black women, it is Black leadership, but I have Black men in my team. I have my husband, I have Black male friends. They can share their perspectives. The Black men that we're bringing into this administration are going to help us, because we need to help them help their younger brothers. They're mentors. They have to mentor the younger brothers coming up. They have to protect them from all the abuses that we had survived before. There's white women, like I brought in Tanya, and they're helping me. I need you to do what you specialize in. You know, you specialize in accounting. I need someone who specializes in legalese. I need someone to specialize in grammar police, which you guys already got that covered. I need people to stand with me, by my side, and that we move forward as a team moving forward, so we can, because we know this journey is not going to end within a few months after the protest. this journey is going to continue for the rest of our lives. And I ask the women to stand with me, that they make a commitment, like Alexandra said, for the rest of your life, you know, for the struggle for racial equality and equity. Because this is just going to make everybody's lives better. But it's not a mission for the weak or the faint-hearted or the, you know, the halfway in between. You know, I need like committed people to join us. You know, any of you ladies want to say anything on that?
Question,
Sure.
can we define for the purposes of this group, what uniformity is and what unity is? Because I think that perhaps the audience would be able to better insert themselves into the context when they have your definitions.
Thank
Or-
you. Yeah. Yeah, unity, not uniformity. Unity in ideals, not uniformity in the way that we bring our ideals together. Unity in the goal, which is dismantling systemic racism and stopping police brutality, all the things that we want to cover, but we're not doing it in a uniform manner. As we had Dr. Marty Casey on with us on the other day, she said there's so many levels of protests, so many levels. You know, I won't tell anybody how to protest. I can only tell you what I'm willing to do. You know, I can't tell another Black woman that she's not mad enough to sit there and smash a window and express her anger, like that one woman that Trevor Noah had posted. I felt her pain and her anger. And now you keep seeing that meme everywhere where the white lady who's pregnant, she said, if you kill my child, you damn well I'll burn the city down, you know, because that's how she feels. I can't tell her how to feel. You know, I can't tell anybody else how they want to protest. If that's how they want to do it, that's how they want to do it. I can only say how I want to do it, you know, and how we
Can I say something?
Yeah, let me finish one second.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's unity, not uniformity. So all the different groups that are out there, as Dr. Marty had spoken, that's her cousin, Cori Bush, was elected as Congresswoman. And Dr. Marty was elected, you know, who created the Show Me Arts Academy, as well as the Ungun Institute. She wouldn't be able to do those things with a criminal record. He said Dr. Cori would not be able to do that. They were in the streets protesting, you know, and they was doing all sorts of things. I don't know exactly what they were doing, but they were in the streets, but then they had to take it from the streets to take it to the next level. Where do we go from here? Here's the next level. Get her into office, get her to create this organization to help these mothers and to help these women, you know, move it here. So all of these forms of protest are all working. It's not a uniform way, but it is unity that Black lives do matter. Everybody who's doing something means that we're doing something in support of Black lives. We're just doing it differently. Oh, go ahead, Quinlan.
I was just gonna say, unity is kind of like what we're doing right now. We're learning to dance together in harmony, right? We're learning to create something together with a harmonious dance. That's what we're trying to do, right? We're not trying to be uniform, which is like marching in a line at the same beat, because we might come from all different directions for that unity. But when we're sitting all together in uniformity, our beat is the same. No matter what, we're doing the exact same thing. I want to know that my expertise is quite different. I can't sing a beat, you know, but if you ask me, I think I sing like, you know, Celine Diaz, whatever her name is. I can't sing, but that's not my expertise. But I got two women over here who are phenomenal at it. You know, I've got my queen in the middle here, this young sister who is brilliant. And Mimi, let me just share this with you. One of the things that I like about you is your authenticity of being open. You often say that you don't know anything, but you know far more than you let on. You're in the midst of it. So it's important, again, the only way to get this dance going, this harmony dance going, is if we all are honest with each other and we talk about seeing me, because I still don't think you see me. And
Mhm.
okay. I still get a little worried, Mimi, when you talk about, because I think that's a true statement. Big Black men can be scary. But why? But why? Because I think it's a natural instinct. So before we can even move into a harmonious place with this dance, we got to figure out that place you're in. We got to figure out the places that we're in, because we can't move together until that happens, right?
Well, I feel like I've always been fairly open and loving of everybody, but even in this past 6 months, I've learned a lot about myself and the things that have been ingrained that I didn't catch. You know, like I said, my father was racist, my mom was a sheriff. You know, like I have a lot of stuff that I had to like relearn and do, and I'm still peeling that onion back and finding things I can do better. Learning ways to like get it from here out my mouth. Those are my hardest problems right now. And my husband's a really big help on that. He's very well. He helps me figure out what I'm thinking here and say it without being completely crazy. Like,
Mhm.
but one thing I want to say real quick about unity, Antoinette, I saw you today speaking with Pato, and you said something that I liked. Black history is American history, and that makes me feel unified with everybody. It's not your Black history, it's all of our history, and some of my history is really shitty, but it is what it is, and learning about it in truth is really important, and that's what makes me feel unified with the community.
That's something that we're going to be working with as well too as we're moving forward. I have a teacher, Nichelle knows her, Michelle. She teaches, and we've been at her school. We also performed in the school in Bend as well too. And I was really impressed that this charter school was talking about Malcolm X. I was like, what? They're teaching these little white kids about Malcolm X? I was like, and I was looking at their wall. I said, I've never seen this type of history, you know, growing up in school. They never taught me these things. So Michelle is a great educator as well too, because she talks about Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, Cesar Chavez, different things to the school all year long. It's not just February. Black History Month, and nobody wants to hear it. They're just sick of all the Black memes and all the Black posts that's happening all over Facebook in February. I'm like, this is American history that should be taught all throughout the year. So for the teachers who are doing this within the schools, you know, I need my specialists of teachers and educators, so that way we can get on these schools and say, this is American history. You need to bring up this part of American history, which includes Black people in there every single month. You know, we have to put that pressure on them to do that as well too. And they say, why can't they just do that at home? Well, why can't they do it at home? Because a lot of these kids have racist parents. They will never, ever teach these kids this. That's why we need them inside of the schools. That's something, whoever women want to help me on this, come to us. Yes, Alexandra.
I'd like to add as well that that is part of it, that some people are racist, right? But also consciously racist, right? But also because we've had this is a white supremacist school system, people don't even understand. They don't know what they don't know, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And if no one opens their eyes to it, or if they're not open to seeing it, then a lot of people are still at that point where they're like sort of unplugging, and they're like, racism, Black people shouldn't die, and that's it. That's it for them. They don't know the whole full spectrum. And that's one thing we talk about a lot that we want to do in Wild Moms International, is make sure we get the whole spectrum of what Black Lives Matter actually means. And the other thing I want to say about Black history in school, and when I had my wake up moment, I was lucky in high school because what opened up my mind to actual Black history in the United States was taking an African history class where this guy talked about, I think it was specifically focused on dictatorships and like apartheid systems and stuff like that, like really gruesome stuff. I learned a lot of gruesome stuff as a last year in high school kind of thing. And I remember my teacher saying, just laying it down every once in a while. He's like, and this happens in the United States too. And this happens in the United States. And we were like, huh, what? And that's when I started realizing more about our American history that we don't get taught. And the thing that he told us that blew my mind up was he talked about Rosa Parks. And I don't know if they've changed the history books yet, but he said in history, what do you learn about Rosa Parks? And we're all saying like what we learned about Rosa Parks. She was tired one day and she sat in the back of the bus. And there just they happened to get pictures and they happened to get no, it was a well-organized protest. It was done by specific groups of people, and it wasn't the first or the last time it happened. The reason that there were journalists and pictures and all, and you know, the people that caught this event is because it was arranged. And the reason they changed it was because they didn't want Black people to understand the power of when they organize together to change something. And that is sickening to me, that is the reason. It's like I can feel it in my soul. If they're willing to change that story, what else are they willing to change? You know? So I just wanted to add that about history.
Well, and I hate to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but none of us are really free. I mean, really, like.
Thank you, Alexandra. We're gonna have to wrap up, and if there's any final thoughts from anybody, go ahead and make your final thoughts. And what I would like to do to close out our session this evening is I would like for Dr. Quinlan to read her poem again while I give her a little music underneath it. You know, I'm feeling this creative vibe.
Oh, wow.
You know, and I always do this with Nini all the time, with Nichelle. You know, that's my girl. I can't wait for her to come back home so we can get on the girl, so we can write some stuff. We got to finish our stuff that we created. So I'm feeling the vibe, and I really liked what you were saying. If anybody else has any final thoughts, go ahead and make them. I'm going to go over by the piano, and I want you to, oh yes, go ahead, Summer. You have a final thought?
Yes, sorry, I just was putting something in the chat, so I was having a hard time muting. But I just wanted to also just say, Quinlan, I'm really grateful for your poem that you shared in the beginning. And I've been in this circle for the last 3, this is the 3rd one, right? Or have we done it 4 times?
This is third.
This is the 3rd public.
I just want to share specifically Quinlan. I want you to know that I feel such a magnet to listening to you whenever you speak. And I feel like there's a part of me when you were talking about that part of that there's Mimi kind of brought it up too, but the sort of a separateness that you feel.
The vibration of disconnect.
Thank you. And
I wrote it down.
I feel like there is something that I wish somehow between you and me, Quinlan. I don't know if it's a dance or someday when we can be in the same room together, but I look forward to having some exchange where, I don't know, I just wish I could hug you. I just want you to know that. And in any way that I still feel like in light of what you've stepped into, the leadership here in this room of some of the women here, Uganda and Alexandra and Antoinette, I just can't say enough of how excited I am that you've stepped into this role, and hearing a little bit in the background about what the international organization really is. I just can't say enough of how excited I am. And I really look forward to, I mean, this is kind of the ongoing education here of the desire to be an ally, but I'm like, okay, I want to know how to be that accomplice. Like, what is this ideal way that I can share with me here what is making me not an accomplice. And maybe that's another conversation in another live stream that I'd love to like hear, how to be that more here and in my community, But one of the things that I also want to say in light of the utilizing privilege that I have noticed, I as well live in an area that is very white. And I have this strange feeling when I see someone of color, I actually get excited. That may sound strange, but I just want you to know I'm like, yay, someone of color in my very white community. Like, I actually get excited. And that may be a little bit of the circus thing that Alexandra's speaking of, and I'm willing to own that a little bit. I feel like I've also learned some things about how I bypass, and I am a lover of oneness, and we are in this together. And so I do feel like I have some things to really deepen into discerning about how I speak from a place that is optimistic. And I do want to see a world of unity, and in a way that is really respectful of the toxic and the truth, how to speak from that optimism without being so painful in how I speak. So I just feel like there's just, again, so much learning here, and I'm really excited to hear the music. So thank you. Just thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Real quick, then, I just want to say thank you, ladies. There's not a day that goes by that I don't think about these conversations, or that I don't draw from what I've heard, or think about your speaking, Dr. Quinlan. So thank you for allowing me to be here and be me.
Michelle, thank you for rocking it tonight, my sister. I know you're tired, but I appreciate you. Your spirit, you don't know what it does to me. So I appreciate you, sister.
I appreciate everyone here, and I appreciate you too, Dr. Quinlan. I'm on the East Coast right now, and I'm still suffering from jet lag. You might have seen my eyes kind of ding, 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 ding. But I'm here for a
Thank
few
you.
more minutes.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks our new guests, Uganda and Tanya,
Uganda.
thanks for coming and sharing. I appreciate everyone just bringing truth to the space. This is what it's all about. This is life. So I'm appreciative of everybody coming in their truth.
Thank you for having me. I get a little quiet. Sometimes that's my job, is to be quiet, and it's sometimes hard. Then when I speak, I can't shut up. So this is my first time in this space. So I'm listening, and so I will speak. I think that there, so many things that were said that are really good. I thought of some things that we could talk about next time, about gatekeeping and silence being violent. And then that kind of goes into what Summer was saying. How can I be a better accomplice? Really just starting with self, and then kind of digging out the racist thinking that we've all been indoctrinated with. It just looks different with Black people, right? We use it as oppression for our people who look like us. And then, and so therefore it looks different from a white person to a Black person, but we still all have work to do. I think start from there until the next time.
And I wanted to say thank you to Antoinette for inviting me. This has been very enlightening, and I have enjoyed it immensely.
Well, thank you, Tanya, and welcome to the team. We're still team building for anybody who's watching. We are getting our specialists in all their departments, so that way we can just work together as a team. Unity, not uniformity. So, all right, Quinn, I'm going to go ahead and start, and you just talk, and I'm just going to kind of move my way around you and stuff. So make sure you're talking loud and you're projecting, and that your stuff. All right. Okay.
You got it.
All right, I'll start.
See, okay. See me. I am sick and tired of dealing with racism. In the 5th grade, my teacher felt comfortable enough to call me a nigger. I was moved from her class. Racism, white toxic people, you can continue to deny your prejudice. Stop saying you don't see my color. You can't possibly say you don't know me if you can't see my color. Trying to play the white card. I have a black friend, or even better, I'm married to a black person. And by the way, if I were your partner, I would be offended that you offered me up as your black contribution. Stop telling me to get over it when every time I'm walking on the same sidewalk as you, you clutch your purse or change the hand in which you are currently holding it in. Do you not think I notice the subtle movement of protection that comes over you with your child or children as you near me? I can hear your car doors click as I'm walking by to get my own destination. Why do I pose a threat to you? I earned your educational proclamation, high school diploma, AABS, doctorate degree without cheating. It is your fact that you taught me only what you wanted me to learn. So don't ask me how I did it in your condescending. But your education has secondary status to my authentic Black history. I will not fall for your white conspiracy theories, which have little basis or foundation except for only what y'all have created in your own mind. Your white privilege chose number 45. Oh, how sweet it is to know 46 is coming. Stop judging me. You don't see my color? Then stop stealing my people, villages, Black music, words, dance, food, hair texture, and skin tone. I am beyond sick and tired of white people coming up with excuses and apologies for what they say is not their fault. It is your fault if you continue to replant this white generational crop of injustice, of inequity, and of inequality. White people, why do I pose a threat to you? My hoodie is designed to do the same thing that your hoodie does. And yet when I put mine on, I become subhuman and hunted like prey. Why am I, my brothers and sisters, suspect or fit the description? We are incarcerated or dead before we can even say our given government name. You can never empathize with me. You'll never be able to walk in my shoes, so stop saying it. White people, you want to know me? Then see me. See all of me. There is no greater sight than my authentic Blackness. See me. I am a proud Black, educated.
All right. Well, that's it.
That was beautiful.
Thanks for tuning in. So Q, just let me know when you want to come over.
All right, my
record,
friend.
I'll put something down for it. And then Nina Shell, please, when you get back, I need your voice on there because I can hear you too. I can really feel and hear this, and this is going to be beautiful. But thank you everyone for tuning in. We will be doing this again. It looks like there's ladies within the Wall of Moms International group who actually want to participate when we do this. So we can set up something again, with our own team inside of the group. If you want to enjoy this kind of one-on-one talking with each other. We'll set that up and make this available for you to actually be able to participate. Ask the questions, let us talk, let us be open with each other, and let us be honest with each other so we can bridge the divide, you know. And peace and love, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Tune in
Thank
next
you.
time.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.